Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Let me do a quick review impressions on the QSP Lark. Kind of a cool little knife, 14C28 end blade steel. This one you can actually see it right there. It is on there. This is blue and shredded carbon fiber, blue G10 and shredded carbon fiber scales. They are lined over steel liners. And I know that from the magnetic test, and it has steel deep pocket carry clip, which is cool. It is reversible. You can see that cutaway, so that's nice. So lefties rejoice, being that it's a liner lock. It'll be very easy to work as a lefty. You can reverse flick it, and you can get to that axis and drop shut it. And it also has a flipper button. It's kind of a, that kind of hidden, very minimalistic flipper button, which is really cool. And then the front flipper works fairly well if you know where to put your finger. I can easily flip it, both sides like that, so it works fairly well, I think. I have medium to medium large hands, so my hands are large widthwise, but fingers are short. So sometimes doing the over the top, the reach around to do that, I have a hard time. Now, if you have longer fingers, I think it's going to work great. I think you're going to like that. So blade is pretty centered, as you can see. 14C28 blade steel. If you look at the blade, it's nice and soft, not really harsh corners. Comes to a pretty thick blade tip. You definitely for pokey. It's a flat grind all the way to the top. Almost makes you think it's a hollow grind, but it's a flat grind all the way to the top. So that's cool. Action's not too bad. I think if I had this much longer, the action would get really, really smooth and buttery. I think people would tend to really enjoy that. So there's that. I think that's just something cool to think about. I like the fact it's lefty compatible. I think that's cool. It's got two standoffs. I think that's cool. Ratio as far as using from the tip of the blade to the back of the handle, I think that's relatively fair and nice. It is a captive pivot. It's got the cool QSP logo. It doesn't have the little triangle. It has a QSP lettering, and then it has a captive pivot. This is a T8. These are all T6s over here, so you have to use one of the smaller bit drivers. Just keep that in mind. Very, very cool little knife. I do like it. I think there's a lot of benefits with this. Everything's rounded all the way around. Like I said, it's already centered. It pretty much locked in there. Yeah, it is. We've got about good 30-40% lockup on the liner lock, which is cool. Action is pretty good for Cade ceramic ball bearings. I think it has to break in a little bit to really get more comfortable with it, but that's cool. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool little knife. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, we talked about the opening. It has the traditional flipper. It has the traditional front flipper right here. You flip like that, and it has the liner lock to close it. It has Cade ceramic ball bearing. Everything closes really well. The handle is nice and rounded all the way across. Medium to medium large hands. I've got a little room here, but this one does allow a little bit of choking up. There's some jimping, so you can hold yourself at bay. I think an extra large, double extra large hands could probably get in there. I do like the shape of the blade a lot. That flat grind is cool. And it's almost a completely hidden blade, so you can't do the middle finger flick. So you have a front flipper and a traditional flipper, which is pretty nice. I think that's pretty cool. Like two of the cool little things. It works really, really well. So that's cool. Let's talk a little bit about the weight, okay? So let's see how much this guy weighs. All right, so this one weighs 3.17 ounces. So 3.17 ounces, not bad. Let's go ahead and measure that and see if the ratios are anywhere close. So 3.17 ounces. So we've got an overall length of a knife that's about 7.5 inches. The overall length of the blade from the tip to the back, we're looking at 3.25 inches. So we said it was, the weight of this was, what was it again? Let's grab that real quick. Yeah, 3.15 inches, and it's about 3.25 inches in the blade. So the ratios are perfect, right? Really, really great. Let's talk a little bit about the length of the handle here. So you got 3.5 inches if you go from here. If you do the choke up position, which I think you comfortably go up here too, you got full 4 inches. So that does open it up a little bit. I think it gives you some extra access for bigger hands. It's still not going to be a gigantic hand, so just realize that. Just understand that if you consider getting this. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness of the knife and see where we're at. So we're at 0.12 120 hundredths of an inch, so 120 hundredths of an inch there. And are we about to lose the battery? I think we are. Ooh, I think the battery just about died. How about that? All right, so not bad as far as the thickness of the blade. I think that's pretty nice with a full flat grind. It's really cool. Very, very good. So I like that. All right, so where are we at? Budget category, regular category, or what? I believe this knife is knife is about $65. So it's about $65 for this knife, which is cool. Definitely puts it into the budget category. If you were to go to White Mountain Knives and use RNK10, that's RNK10 for Rob's Nerdy Knives, and then the numbers 10, all together is 1, RNK10, you get 10% off of this. So that takes, 10% off of a $65 knife. It takes off $6.50. So it makes it a $58.50 knife or something like that. Or, so anyways, it saves you some money and definitely puts it in a great budget area. So absolutely a banger of a budget knife. It's definitely really cool. EDC use, absolutely everyday carry. It's a beautiful blade. It's got a nice aesthetic. I think even as a budget knife, it looks good. Something you can carry in the office, maybe even to church. It's not super, super fancy, but it doesn't look cheap. So I like that. Though it's a great value and it's inexpensive and, cheap to pay for, or it's cheap. It's cheap in the sense of the price. It's got pretty good value for what you get. I think you got 14C28N. You got the shredded carbon with blue G10 scales, liners, deep pocket carry clip, reversible, top flipper or regular traditional flipper, front flipper here. All of those things work really, really nicely. Cade ceramic ball bearings, liner lock, all that stuff is pretty nice. No blade rock, it's in there solid. I like all of that. So that is a really great banger of a budget knife, great for EDC use. Hard use, yeah, I think you could get away with hard use. It is a liner lock. I mean, we're talking hard use. Hard use could mean different things to different people, right? If you're gonna go bushwhacking, breaking logs, yeah, don't do that. Get a fixed blade for that, or get an axe, right? This is not what this is intended for, so just keep that in mind. But for hard use, like opening boxes consistently over and over, letters, envelopes, pallets, if you're unlocking, getting shrink wrap up, giant cardboard, I think it'll be great. It'll have good hard use. Is it a collection piece? Unless you love everything QSP and you collect everything from QSP, no, I don't think so. I think it's a good use budget knife. I do not think it's a collection piece at all. Let's talk about the ergonomics and design. We already talked a lot about that, but let's talk about how it all works together. So everything comes together really nicely. Rounded chamfered handles, everything's comfortable. Even the clip is great. It's got a little bill up there. It's rounded all the way around, nothing sharp. And if I dig down, it's not harsh, right? I can do that left and right-handed and reverse that. It's nice. It's nice cutaway to the liner lock. Can you see that? Nice cutaway. So easy to get to, so you're not stretching and trying to put a little itty bitty finger into between the two lines. So it did a nice cutaway. I think it works well. Would it be nicer to be just a little bit bigger? Maybe, maybe, but it still works really nice. I like it. All right, so let's talk about, we talked about the design. It's got the no thumb studs. It's got the clip is really nice, deep pocket carry clip. This is a full deep pocket carry clip. It's definitely going to be hidden. Slides in and out really nicely with this carbon fiber. The shapes of this carbon fiber scale makes it a comfortable knife to me, even for choking up. So I do like that. I think that's really, really cool, right? So, opening and closing is a dream. You got the traditional flipper, you got the front flipper, and the liner lock releases and blade drops just really nicely. I think that's great. Fidget factor. Well, you've got two really of the big things. You got the front flipper and you got the traditional flipper. So both of those are really cool. Make this knife very, very easy, very discreet. So as far as fidget factor, I'm going to give it a 5. It's not quite a 6 because, it's very limited in that sense. You don't even have access to the knife. It's kind of hidden out of the way. So to me, that makes it a 6. Others, it could make it a 7 or 8. But I'm going to call it a 6 for myself. Now, as far as fidgety goodness, this, considering the size of the flipper, considering the size of the front flipper, the fidgety goodness on this knife is fantastic. I'll give it a 98, maybe just shy of 100. And that's only because sometimes it's hard to disengage the liner lock. And that has to do maybe with the detent. And now, anytime I have a knife that has a front flipper, I like to tune the detent. There's very few knives that I haven't had to, and I have a few of those. But there's very few knives, if they have a front flipper, I always tend to lighten it just a hair, just because I want to be able to discuss things to be able to not discuss, be able to use this knife in a reasonable, rational way, right? If you have a front flipper and it's really hard, it's going to rip the skin off. It's going to be very uncomfortable. I don't like that. And if I'm using a front flipper, I enjoy that part. So I want to tune it correctly. And a flipper like this has good leverage, and you can see that. This flipper, this point here is above the pivot, so that gives you good leverage. That's why you see a nice crisp deployment actuation, really nice. But I think with the front flipper, it would be nice to be just a slightly lighter, especially if you start opening up, doing more videos. You have other things that might require some of that same I don't know, same things. So I think that's cool. I do like these. I like the fidgety capabilities. So as far as fidgety factor, I'm going to give this, like I think I already said, a 5 or 6, right? I'm going to give it a 98 out of all of that. I like all of that. So all that leads me to the overall final thoughts. And is it recommended? Yeah, I'm going to recommend it. I'm definitely going to recommend it as a budget knife. I think this is a recommended budget knife. This is right up there with the Penguin. I think it's a good deal. I think you would enjoy this. I think you'd be happy with this. I think it's overall a pretty nice knife for what you get. I think it's a good bang for the buck. So definitely a recommended knife. I think you would enjoy that. So that's my thoughts on this one. Hey, if you have any questions about this knife or the channel or me, future reviews, questions about, you know, Rob's ramblings, ideas for Rob's rambling, I would love to hear from you. I would love to be able to have that discussion. So thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate that. If you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, entertaining, or informative, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? If you've already hit that like button, would you please consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the channel really helps us out to grow, to become bigger, better, you know, channels, and to produce more content, do more things for you guys. So thank you. If you've done all that, maybe hit the notification button so you can be notified of future content. And finally, maybe if you haven't had a chance to, check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.